Ladies and gentlemen, Tazzy Bolt.
Okay, so does anyone here, do you ever get bored with masturbation? I know, right? Weird thing, right? Well, when I was 21, I was a virgin. I had been masturbating, just using my clit, and I had great orgasms from it. But I was getting bored with it. So it's like the same thing over and over. I was just using my hand or using a pillow. It just felt like it just wasn't enough. And because I was having great orgasms, I didn't really feel like I needed to seek out a person to have sex with. I was just really satisfied by myself. I was talking to a friend about this, and I was telling her my bored problem. And she's like, well, you know what would take you to the next level of pleasure with your masturbation? Be to get a vibrator. It's like there's lots of shapes and sizes and textures, and we can go together, we can pick one out. And so two things happened in my mind when she said levels of pleasure. One was this like kid in me that used to play Mario. And all of a sudden, I just had this image of like when you're going on a level, and then when you beat it, it collapses, and then this path opens up in front of you, like the little stones where they're just like, doo, 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 and then you just like, where you're going, and it's all laid out in front of you. And the thing about Mario is that, like the more you go, the more like that sometimes there's people that come into it, like Yoshi is there all of a sudden you have to deal with, and these different enemies and things like that. But you always have your path. You just keep on playing at that level till you finish. So I was pretty excited about that metaphor in my head. And then the other thing was this, like the levels of pleasure. So for me, for some reason, I just fixated on this idea of pleasure's only around my genitalia. That's, for some reason, I was like, yep, it's focused there. Makes sense. I got my clit and my cunt, and I'm good. And so, we went to the store. I picked out a vibrator. It was white. It was about that long or so. Had some ridges on it, and I went back home. And I start to rub my clit, I lick the vibrator, get it a little bit wet that way, and I put it in, and it's like the worst searing pain I have ever felt. It's like someone decided to put a carpet inside of my vagina and rub it. It's not good. And I'm a determined person. So, I was like, yeah, sometimes you start a level, you die, cool, no biggie, you just start again, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put lube on it, I'm gonna change positions, let's do this again. And I put it in, guess what? Same searing, awful pain. And, I just, I couldn't let this go, because I was like, this is my fucking level, this, I'm gonna masturbate with a vibrator, I'm gonna beat this shit, and, so I just, for the next 3 months of my life, once a week, I'd be like, tonight's your night, vibrator, and it never happened. It would just get an inch in, and then that's all I could do. And, there was this moment when I connected. I'm getting ohs from the audience. It's very sweet of you. There was this moment where I connected in my mind. I was like, oh, yeah. You remember when you went to the gynecologist and she said that your hymen wasn't broken yet and that it was kind of thick and would be painful? That's probably what's happening. And so I started to kind of realize, okay, if I'm going to get past this level, I'm gonna just need to start having sex with people, because that's what's gonna happen. And again, in my mind, the Mario thing, for those of you that are familiar, I thought about sometimes you go into a level and then there's a magic tube that you can go down, and keep following me, and then you're transported off to this like cloud level where you find a secret key, and then the secret key will bring you back to your original level, but it'll help you defeat it. So I'm thinking like, I gotta find my fucking key. Like, that's right. So I'm out with some friends. There's this other guy there. We start flirting a little bit. We start going on some dates. He knows I'm a virgin, and he knows that I'm interested in pretty much just masturbating with a vibrator, but he seems okay with that. So we get to that moment where I'm gonna have sex for the first time, penetrative sex, and it's just as painful as it was by myself, except a little bit more, because this time when he inserts his penis, I can like visualize my hymen tearing, and I like feel it rip. It's not fun. Needless to say, we did not have sex very long that night. And I go to the bathroom, I kind of brush it off. I'm sitting there and bleeding a little bit, and I wipe it off. And the only thought in my mind is, I found my fucking key! Yes! And I'm stoked because, there's that thought, and then there's also, and I'm in pain, but the key seems more important. So, we keep dating, we keep having sex. Every time we have sex, it's a little bit easier, it's getting more loose, and I'm finally able to masturbate with my vibrator, and I do it. Yeah. Thank you. And I have conquered that level, and this pathway opens up in front of me. I don't know where it's going this time, but I'm just excited because it means something in my future. Something better, even better is gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna up the ante with another level. And, so this guy and I, we stopped dating. It's just not working out. A few years go by, and I'm dating some other people. I'm getting into a relationship, and all of a sudden, I just noticed that sex is feeling like really heavy. It's feeling just like really emotional for me. And again, because I just have this thing in my mind where I'm like, sex is just about clit and cunt. It's like this mantra I just like keep telling myself. And then when the heaviness kind of sinks in, it's too much. It's like, it's not for me. And I have this idea. I'm like my pathway. Okay, I know my next level is just gonna have like unemotional sex. I just want to be fucked. Like, I just want to have that, nothing else. That's my next level. That's what I'm gonna do. And so, I'm being the determined person that I am. I start talking with some friends about it, seeing how can I go about this? And a friend of mine, asked me if I'm going to Burning Man that year. And at the time, I said no, I didn't have a ticket. I've been before. It's very lovely. For those of you that don't know, it's a festival that takes place in the middle of the desert in northern Nevada. It's like about 60,000 people, I think, went last year. And it's lovely. It's like about gifting and just really incredible people that are there. So I know that there were orgies that take place there, and my friend's like, yeah, it's all about safe sex, consent, and you could probably just have this unemotional sex in this orgy if you wanted to. And I'm thinking like, oh, perfect, that's me, that's it. So I get my ticket and I go, and it's the fourth night of Burning Man. And I walk into this dome, and I'm thinking in my mind, like, yeah, okay, next level, you are about to be beaten. And I'm getting pretty excited about it. And walk into this dome. In the entryway, there's a person there that greets me. And they have 3 different colors of wristbands to give me. And they look at me and said, welcome to the orgy tonight. Which, I don't know if you've ever been to an orgy, but it's just like... I don't know what I was expecting, but that was a lovely way to enter into an orgy. And they're so friendly, and they say, you should select the purple wristband if you're here to watch, the yellow wristband if you're interested in sex, but you want to have a conversation first. And you should select green if you're here to fuck. Which one would you like? And, of course, without hesitation, I was like, green, I'm fucking green! And I just got really excited about it. They hand me the green wristband, and I open the curtains and walk in. And there's about 15 people or so in this dome. It feels a little bit like high school. There's kind of like the cliques over here, and everyone's looking at you because they're looking at what color is your wristband. Because if you have a purple one and there's a green person, no, you're not mixing yet. And I see this guy, he's also wearing a green wristband. So I walk over to him, and he's this Norwegian man lookalike. He has these giant shoulders and this blonde hair and just flowing back and these blue eyes, and he has these massive hands, which I think is great, and a potential bonus for sex. And so we start talking, it's feeling really comfortable, and then the hosts come on, because I've come to this before it's actual official time to start. The hosts come in and they give a little talk. They role play. How do you have a conversation about STDs, and how do you have a conversation about consent? Because it's a very safe space. The other lovely thing that they introduce is they say, and we have caddies tonight. For those of you that are unfamiliar with sex orgy caddies, let me explain them to you. They help you have the laziest and best sex of your life. And that means that essentially mid-fuck, if you realize you need something like lube or another condom or a glove, you literally don't need to move. You can just raise your hand or just scream out, "Caddy, more lube!" And literally, this person runs over to you and just squirts on the lube for you, or just hands you the gloves, or gives you wipes or whatever you need. They're just on it. So that is amazing also, I gotta say. But so the hosts, they talk about now that we've role played what this conversation is, turn to your neighbor and have a conversation, just practice. And so I turned back to this guy, and we both talk about when we were last tested, and that's all feeling good. And then, and he looks at me and says, "So what do you want out of the tonight?" And I look at him, and I'm just like, I just want to be fucked. The end. And I ask him, can you give that to me? And there's this moment where he was like, yeah. I don't think he was expecting that, even though he did have a green wristband. So maybe part of him should have been, but whatever. And I asked him what he wanted out of the night, and he's like, "Oh, I just kind of stumbled in here, and I just thought it'd be cool to have sex." I'm like, "Great, let's do it." And so in my mind, I'm just I'm focusing this. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna have this unemotional sex. I'm gonna conquer this level. My pathway will open up to somewhere else. It'll be great. And we start kissing, and then he's just getting really into the kissing, and I have this thought in my mind. I'm like, no. Remember, focus down here. Remember, click cunt. We need to go back to that focus. And so I start just encouraging him in different ways, I'm gonna take off your pants. How do you feel about that? And I'm gonna remove my pants now, and we're gonna get a condom. And we just kind of slowly ease on, and it gets to that moment. He puts on the condom, we put some lube on, and I just sit on top of him, and we just start fucking, and it is great. It's in my mind, I'm just thinking I've succeeded, I win again. And, to like think that you're winning while you're fucking is kind of awesome. It's just great. I just have like the highest self-esteem ever at that point. So we just try a lot of different positions, like I'm on top of him, and then we do doggy style, and then I'm on my back, and we're standing up, and we're sitting down, and we fuck for about 40 minutes, and it's awesome. And we both had great orgasms, and I'm sitting there, and I just have this energy pulsing through me because I'm just thinking like, yes, I win again. And I'm just like, I just want to do it again, and I want to try this again, and see, like, can I succeed at this? Can I have more unemotional sex? And just go for it. And I look at this guy, and I just, give him this huge thank you, and I tell him, like, thank you so much for giving me that. And he looks back, and he's like, yeah, you too. Have a great night. And we just, like, part our ways, and it's really beautiful. And I wander over to the other side of the dome, and I kind of sit down for a moment, just kind of suss out what's happening. There's probably, like, closer to 50 people in the dome now. And I think probably that happened because people were hearing sounds and they're walking by. And the thing with Burning Man is that, like, nowhere is really closed ever. So there's always people that are walking by and they're like, oh, that sounds like sex. And then they just kind of, like, look in. They're like, yeah, that's sex. And then they just kind of stay there. So we've got more people involved now. So I find my little corner, or I don't know, little area in the dome. They're not really corners. It's a dome. And I sit down, and I'm just, just like taking a moment, and this group of like 5 people are kind of like tumbling through the dome towards me. And they get to me, and they're all just like intertwined and involved in each other. And it gets to me, like they kind of stop like right in front of me. And they take a breath. It's like they were doing their thing and they're done. And then off of that peels this couple, this man and a woman. And they both look at me, and they're just like, they have this really intense stare. And they just look, and they're like, tell us what you want out of the night. And I, a little intimidated, but I'm like, all right, like, I'm gonna go into my spiel again. Like, I want to be fucked. And then I have this moment, because they're looking at me like they're expecting something more from me. And I kind of sit back, and then I notice I start to get shy all of a sudden. And then I realized I just kind of started talking, and I was like, oh, and I want to be kissed. And I want my neck to be kissed, and I want my ass to be slapped, and I want my tits to be rubbed, and like all these things just start coming out, and I have this voice in my head that's like, what the fuck are you doing? This is not your level, like you made a goal, you need to complete the goal. And this is not your level. Like, your level is, like, focusing down here, and you're involving all this other stuff, and that's dangerous territory, and that's also just, like, not the battle that you're fighting right now. And, you need to get back on track. And then there's this other part of me that's like, well, just chill out, really. Like, it's okay. We'll let's just see where this goes. And so after I've spurted out all these things, I kind of look at them, and I'm still a little bit shocked. And I'm just like, hey, so can you do that for me? And, this couple, they're holding hands, and, we're all naked by this point, and the woman turns to her partner, and, she's like, honey, I would love to take her top half. I would love to kiss you. And the guy's like, great, I would love to fuck you. And are you okay if I use fingers too, as well as my cock? Is that all right with you? And I'm just kind of sitting there like, yes, it is. And we start going at it. And, the woman, it's like they divided and conquered my body. It's kind of awesome. the woman just like focuses from like here up, and then the guy's on the bottom half of me, and I'm realizing that while the three of us are together, I'm communicating more. I'm saying what I want more. I'm saying like, harder, softer, slower, or I'm telling, where to put your hands, and I'm telling them where I want to put my hands and what I'm wanting. And it's just this really nice exchange. Every once in a while they look at each other, and then there's this moment where they're like, "Can we switch?" And it's like, sure, I don't have a problem with that. And then they switch, and the guy's on the top part of my body, and the woman's on the bottom part of my body. And again, we're all communicating, and it's feeling great. And I have this moment at the end of this session with these people, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just thinking like, God, like the levels are bullshit. Like why did I do that in the first place? Like I don't know what I was expecting. Like, yeah, the path is in front of you, but I didn't know, like, in Mario, you're gonna get to the end castle and then it's gonna be done and you save the princess. Like, I didn't know what metaphor I had for the princess in my mind. I don't think I like played it out that long. And I just had this realization of like, oh God, like I could be having so much better sex if I just realized like pleasure's not just centered there. It's actually my whole body. It's a holistic thing. And, crazy idea that. And, so since this experience, I've been with some other lovers and partners, and I'm really trying to focus on actually not having any more levels, although I do think about Mario sometimes, but not within this context anymore. And I'm just having better sex. I'm communicating better. I'm listening to my body. I'm trusting my body. And what I'm finding at the end of the day is that when I go back and I masturbate too, it's never boring anymore. Thank you.